this video, we are going to learn how to use a pendulum. There, my pendulum's already going. We're gonna learn how to use a pendulum to make decisions in our lives. Hey everyone, my name is Maria Sophia, and my purpose is helping you find your purpose. I am a trained psychotherapist and now work as a death doula, an intuitive healer, energy medicine practitioner, life coach. I got more degrees than a thermometer, but I am here to help you find your purpose. So let's get into how we use these amazing tools, these amazing spiritual tools, pendulums in this case, for our decision-making ability. Now, what is a pendulum? Because I just showed you this copper pendulum. I've got this other crystal green aventurine pendulum. They're like going bananas already because they want to share their knowledge and their wisdom. So what is a pendulum? A pendulum is any string, cord, chain that has some sort of weight at the bottom. Pendulums can also be like necklaces because there's a chain and then there's some sort of weighted item at the bottom. You could use your keys as a pendulum. I could show you guys that maybe a little bit later on in this video when we get into the practical points of it. And then also, if you don't have keys, chain, any of those things, or an actual pendulum that's identified as a pendulum, you can use a piece of dental floss with a lifesaver. Yes, a lifesaver, which has a hole. It's one of those candies that has a hole in it. You tie that piece of floss and you can use that as a pendulum because it's something weighted on a string. So that's what a pendulum is. Now, how do we actually work with it? What are we channeling? What vibe are we getting when we work with a pendulum? So in my perspective, in my philosophy, a pendulum, what I'm connecting to is my greatest and highest self. It is that God, goddess self in all of us that I believe that we have, that I'm tapping into. I'm looking at the answers that I already have, because at the end of the day, we all have all of the answers. We all know our purpose. We all know what's in our greatest and highest good. It's this human, carbon-based meat suit, very sophisticated technology that we got going on. It's really our mental body, our minds, which create these imagined limitations, these blockages, these obstacles to what our higher self, you can call it God, you can call it angels or guides, however, whatever languaging feels comfortable to you. It's our humanness that actually creates that contrast, that friction. So it's challenging to find our guidance, what's inherently our answers. So we are here tapping into that space, into that esoteric, etheric realm of our higher self, the higher self that knows all the answers, has all the keys. So that's how we work with the pendulum. The pendulum is a spiritual tool. It is not, full disclosure and disclaimer, it is not a substitute for going to a physician, going to a mental health counselor, going to a finance person, going to a lawyer. It's not to substitute that. It is a spiritual tool that we use to help to confirm and validate what we already know. You, at the end of the day, have sovereignty and agency, so you don't need to follow everything that your pendulum says either. And I'll get more into that a little bit later. Now, we've got some rules when we're working with pendulums. This is just how I was taught, so I want to pass it along to you, and hopefully this is of value. And you can do whatever you want. So you don't have to follow these rules, but these are really good rules to have. We need some guidelines. The first one is, we do not ask the pendulum when we are gonna die or when someone else is gonna die. That is not something that typically the pendulum will give you an answer on. Timelines of people's deaths, or if they're gonna die due to a certain illness or what have you. So let's just not ask that. Again, you could do whatever you want, but this is how I was taught. I don't ask about my death or other people's deaths. So that is our first rule. The second rule is to make sure that if you're going to work with someone to answer questions that you want to know about someone else, that you have consent. Now that is actually more of an advanced practice when it comes to pendulum work. So we're not going to cover that in this video, but if you want to know about someone else's greatest and highest good, if you don't have consent, please don't do it. We need to work with permission and consent. That is the ethical and integrous way to work with any spiritual tool. We don't externalize, we don't try to find things out about somebody else for them, because again, it's a boundary crossing. And if you want to know about boundaries, please go to my boundaries video that I made just a few days ago and posted here on YouTube. But please, let's not be being nosy into other people's greatest and highest good. Let's focus on ourselves when we're working with the pendulum. Deal? Deal? Can we agree to that? Wonderful. Okay. The next thing is, please don't let anybody else touch your pendulum. It's your pendulum, just like with crystals. And I have another video that I'm working on talking about crystals and working with crystals specifically. But with your pendulum, it's your tool. It's your sacred tool. Do not let other people touch it. And if someone touches it, you can clear your pendulum, which is my next point. Try to clear your pendulum, I would say, as much as you need it. And in the steps of working with it, there'll be times where I'll say, maybe you should clear your pendulum. But I would, after every, 3 to 5 works with the pendulum. So if you work with it daily, maybe after 3 to 5 days, you clear your pendulum. And here is a simple way that you can clear it. You can put it in a bowl filled with salt, preferably like some sort of rock salt or maybe Himalayan salt. Sea salt is also really great. And the reason why salt is used, and I can talk about all of that in another video about salt and working with salt to clear things, is because nothing can really grow in salt. If salt is not wet, if it's just salt by itself and it's dry, nothing can grow in it. So when you're putting that object, that pendulum, whatever it is, whether it's a necklace or your actual pendulum that you purchased, it clears and removes anything from living on it, which is any energy living on it. So you're clearing it that way. You could also put it in moonlight for an evening, put it on your windowsill in a full moon to just clear it out. You can use sage if you are aligned with using sage to clear that energy as well. And I can do another video about how to clear objects again with sage and other methods. But to keep it simple, use a small bowl of salt and you're good to go. So now we know the basics in terms of rules. Now let's get into how to use our pendulum. First, we need to pick a pendulum. So this one, as I said, is copper. It's starting to move. I see it's starting to move already. And if you look at my hand, I'm keeping it very stationary. Let me get it in frame. I'm keeping it very stationary. Let me see if I can zoom a little bit back. There we go. So it's very stationary. My hand is not moving. And then I keep my hand, my free hand over here underneath it, not too close, but not too far. So as I said, this pendulum here is copper. This other pendulum that I have is green aventurine, which is a crystal. It's really beautiful. I don't know if you could see it. A little bit closer, there you go. So that is green aventurine. As I said in a little bit ago, you can use keys, you could use a necklace. Like I could use the necklace that I'm wearing, it would be very easy to use that. I try to use objects that are mine. So if you don't have any necklaces and the only option is to use someone else's necklace, that's fine. Just go ahead and clear that necklace with the salt for maybe an hour, and then you can use your pendulum. So we've picked our pendulum. By the way, you can get really great pendulums on Etsy. They're inexpensive and they're from handmade sources, people who are doing this because they really love working with crystals or other materials. So you can go on Etsy. I'm creating an advanced class on pendulum. This is our 101 basics on pendulums, but I'm also in that other more advanced class, I'm going to be talking about how when you go to a retail store, you can test the pendulum at the retail store to see if it is a pendulum for you or not. And in this process of working with the pendulum, you'll be able to determine now, just after watching this video, if a pendulum is yours or not. So the first thing to do in order to work with your pendulum is to get in a clear, calm, quiet place. You could do this in your bedroom. You can do this maybe if the only place is the bathroom, use the bathroom. go to the bathroom, just take a few deep breaths, close your eyes. We're just trying to center our energy and bring us back into alignment with ourselves. Again, because we're contacting ourselves. We're not contacting anyone else. When we do our invocation for the work itself, we're going to be contacting ourselves. So just coming back into our bodies, into ourselves. Again, taking a few cleansing breaths where it's, through the nose and out through the mouth. Maybe you take 3 breaths. And then you start to invoke. So to invocate or to invite. Now, when we invite, what we're doing is we're inviting our highest self. So here's a sample invocation. And I'm closing my eyes because I'm tuning into what the best invocation would be to teach. Please take this invocation and do with it what you will. You can keep it, you can change it, make it your own. This is just an example. So taking a deep breath in, tuning in. I invite my highest self, the greatest and highest iteration of who I am, myself that is in source, in spirit. I invoke that spirit to help me and guide me as I work with the pendulum for whatever is in my greatest and highest good, in my greatest and highest timeline. May I, the human Maria Sophia, move to the side to allow these messages to come through clearly, with intention, so clear that I could not confuse them for anything else but what these messages are meant for me. Thank you in advance for all of your guidance and support. And so it is. Very simple. So we ask for the greatest and highest good. We invoke or invite our higher self, that energy of our higher self. We ask to be taken out of the way because we get in the way. Remember, our mental body, our mind, has all of these imagined limitations, has all of these stories and programs and training that is not going to give us clear answers. It's only going to cause confusion. So let's ask to be taken out of the way so that our greatest and highest self can shine through and give us the guidance that we're seeking. And we're always, as I said, aligning with our highest timeline and gratitude. Without gratitude, we've got nothing. We need to be very, very mindful and express our gratitude because gratitude makes everything better. It's like butter. If you eat butter, butter makes everything better, it seems, in life, but gratitude also makes everything better in life. So we did our clearing, we centered ourselves, fantastic. And then we invited the spirit, the highest and greatest good of the highest expression of unconditional love and light, always going to that. And then we are going to pick up our pendulum. Okay, so we picked up our pendulum and we're going to ask, show me what is yes. Show me what is yes. So I don't know if you guys see this, but my yes, and usually my yes is always this, it's a circle. It's a clockwise circle going around. Show me what is yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, if you are not getting a full movement like that, you can say, can you show me even more what my yes is? Can you show me more? Can you show me at full power? Oh my God, this pendulum is probably going to hit me in the face. I've had my pendulum like almost hit me in the face because it was like, yes, hello, listen, Maria, it's a yes. Thank you so much. And then once it stops, we can say, can you show me what is no? Show me what is no. So no is back and forth for me. No is back and forth. Thank you so much. Now we ask a test question. And a test question could be, I am currently in Belize. If the pendulum gives you the sign for yes, that you're in Belize when you're not in Belize, that's not the pendulum for you. There's some sort of disturbance or some sort of distortion going on. So what I would recommend is you take that pendulum, You place it into the salt that we talked about earlier. You place it into a salt bath, so to speak, not with water, just with salt, and you let it rest for an hour. If your test question is answered correctly, so I am currently in Los Angeles, California, and you're in Los Angeles, California, great. That's the pendulum you should be working with. Now, if you continuously, for that pendulum, say if the copper pendulum was giving me correct answers, but this green aventurine pendulum wasn't giving me correct answers, then maybe perhaps if it's consistently doing that after I've cleared it, maybe it's time for this pendulum to move on. Maybe it's time for me to give that pendulum to a friend as a gift. That perhaps could be it. Now, we are going to ask what is our yes, ask what is our no, and then ask the test question. Please don't stare at your pendulum. Our minds, as I said, are very powerful, and I have moved my pendulum by just staring at it. Of course, like there's other energetic abilities that I have, so it's influencing it. What you can do instead is close your eyes when you're using the pendulum and ask it, is it in my greatest and highest good? And I'm gonna tell you how to formulate some questions. Is it in my greatest and highest good to go to the gym today, for instance? If you're really invested in an answer from the pendulum, more than likely you're gonna stare at it. And more than likely you know the answer and you're gonna try to almost infuse and push that pendulum to give you the answer that you want. Check that. If you're finding that you're working with your pendulum and you really, really wanna you really don't wanna go to the gym, let's say, you really don't wanna go to the gym, but you're asking the pendulum to see if it's verified and it is in your greatest, highest good to go to the gym, you could manipulate that answer to be a no when it really is a yes. So what I would suggest you do is to look away, close your eyes, like focus on a curtain, focus on the floor, focus on something else, and then ask the question and then see what the answer is. And you can even further invoke please allow me to get out of my own way. You could always say that. You can continue to speak and say, I am continuing to invite what is in my greatest and highest good, and please, spirit, higher self, source, take me out of the equation. Take the human Maria Sofia out of the equation and allow me to just be spirit-led by what are the answers that the pendulum has given me. Now, there are more advanced practices that you can use. You can see if certain foods are for you or not. I know people who take pendulums into the grocery store. You could also work with other people in the pendulum. A lot of my friends who do this work, if they are too much in their own ways, they will call me up and say, hey, can you pendulum test this for me? Because I keep getting weird answers, my pendulum's not working, and I really want it to go a certain way, and I don't want to be in my own way. So can you, as the third party impartial judge of this, pendulum test it? And then I'll be able to give them an answer. But again, that's a more advanced practice, and that will be included in my more advanced training on pendulum work. So these are the basics. First step is to select a pendulum, clear your space, clear your mind, center yourself, then go ahead and invite and invoke the energy of guidance and support of the greatest and highest good. Then ask, what is my yes? What is my no? Ask a test question. And then the last step is to actually ask questions. I like to ask questions very simply. Is it in my greatest and highest good to go to the gym? Should I quit drinking coffee? It's so funny because I'm so addicted to coffee. And this morning I asked the pendulum, should I quit coffee? Is it in my greatest and highest good to quit coffee? And it said, no, it's not in your greatest and highest good to quit coffee. You can continue to drink coffee. And then I asked it, is it in my greatest and highest good to only drink coffee every other day? And it said, yes, it is in your greatest and highest good to drink coffee every other day. So not quitting cold turkey coffee, but maybe drinking it a little bit less, which actually makes sense. please, please, again, I say this to you. We can't live and die by what the pendulum says. You are a sovereign being. You have agency. Please don't depend on it only for answers. Use your own discernment and check in with yourself. And during the advanced practice training, I'm going to teach you how to actually use your body as a pendulum when you don't have a pendulum around, and also other muscle testing techniques. So please just use your discernment. If the pendulum is saying no consistently about something and you believe it's a yes, then you need to take a step back. Maybe you need to clear that pendulum. Maybe you need to reset. Perhaps you're too invested in the answer, or maybe you feel like you know the answer and the pendulum is not cooperating. So like, what's that relationship between you and the pendulum? These are all things to consider. I hope that was helpful. As I said before, I'm working on an advanced training for pendulums. If there are any topics that you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments below. Also, I want to hear your pendulum work experiences. Is this the first time you're working with a pendulum? If not, how have you worked with it? What kind of philosophy or perspectives do you have? I'm super curious and I would love to know. If it's your first time working with a pendulum, what made you decide that you want to work with a pendulum? Or is this something new that you're stumbling upon in your growth path, your spiritual path? Thank you all so much. Please enjoy my other videos. I talk about boundaries. I talk about being kind versus being nice, and many other spiritual topics. And I'll see you all next time. Don't forget to go to themariasofia.com to get free resources and content. Bye, everyone.